Welcome to New Broker, the podcast dedicated to providing insights and inspiration for building a new broking business.
Hello and welcome back to this week's podcast. I'm your host for today, Annie Kane. And in this podcast, we're talking all things asset finance and everything outside of resi lending. If you've been following this podcast for a while, you'll know that we talk each and every week with different amazing brokers across the country about what they're doing to grow their business, how they started out, what they've got on the trajectory, and what sort of things they're adopting in their brokerage to make sure they're working as efficiently and effectively as possible. And in this week's episode, we've got a double whammy in the form of not only are we going slightly outside the box and talking to someone who is doing asset finance, but also who's doing it for two separate businesses. So in this week's podcast, we're joined by Nicole Taylor, the Managing Director of Medifund and a new loan market franchisee, to talk about what she's been seeing in the space and how she's been growing her brokerage. Thanks, Nicole, for joining me. How are you going?
Thank you so much for having me in Sydney. It's very nice to be here and I'm super excited to do this podcast.
I feel so honoured that you have flown down from Queensland to come and join us and talk to us, share your story, and really, I think, shed some light on what it is that you're doing. So anyone who's not had the pleasure of meeting you before, you're a medico / asset finance specialist, but only been broking for 2-3 years?
2 years, September 2023.
Wow. Okay. So still relatively new. But let's walk back a bit. So why become a broker in the first place? Because you were in lending before.
I was in lending and I thought I would become in lending forever, and I didn't become institutionalized. So 20 years in lending, I never ever thought I'd be in broking. I absolutely loved lending. Development-wise though, it led me to broking. I got to a stage in my career where the next stage was leadership, and I looked at leadership and I didn't want to manage people, and broking was it. So Here I am.
Yay. And we're glad to have you. And like so many, I think, in the industry, lots of people start off in finance or in lending side and then kind of see what brokers have been doing and be you know what, that looks kind of cool. I want to do it too. So you decided to make the move from lending. And you've worked for loads of different banks, but really specialising, I think, in that asset sort of area. How did you get into asset finance in the first place? I
started in asset finance where a lot of people in asset finance start, in the motor industry.
Yeah.
So I started in cars. I did that for quite a few years and I got bored. And I think I was about 22 and I was a group finance manager for a large privately owned dealership. And
At 22?
At 22.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm showing my age now. But you know, I just kept on knocking on the door of my dealer principal and I said, what's next here? What's next in dealer land? He goes, there's not really much else. You're already running 10 business managers. He said, why don't we look at the wholesale side of things? Why don't we look at floor plan? Why don't I bring you in on the floor plan side and so you understand the business side of the business. Once I got in there though, he couldn't get me back out. I absolutely loved it. The wholesale side is super, super cool. For listeners that don't know, wholesale in a car dealership is imperative. Wholesale is basically the floor plan that the dealers keep their stock on. So manufacturers don't just give them the stock, they go on a floor plan. It's like a massive line of credit and it's reducing. So when they buy cars and they come into stock, they go on the floor plan. When they're sold, they go back off. Now the retail piece of that is if a client buys a car through the dealership, that's why they're pushing finance in that dealership because it offsets their floor plan on the other side. So the more volume they write retail, it offsets their wholesale side.
Well, now we know why car dealers go so hard on car finance.
Yes.
There we go, a little lesson for me there. And then you kind of joined the lenders and again, really focusing on that sort of specialist space. Why did you kind of always think I'm just going to keep on learning about cars and writing car finance because you love cars? Was there any other extracurricular activities that you do around cars, or is it just because you knew it so well?
At that stage, it was pretty much cars.
Yeah.
Love cars. I've always done what I'm passionate about. Life's too short not to. The opportunity at the bank came up and it was a super unusual opportunity. It was a wholesale / retail role at BOQ. Not many people would know, but BOQ does a lot of white label stuff in the industry. So things like Honda Finance, KTM, Harley Davidson. So
BOQ
it was
specialist,
yeah, it was really cool to get onto that side. Not only that, they identified when they dealt with me in the dealership land what I was doing on the wholesale side, and they said, we've really got no one with motor industry experience on the bank side. We're going out to these dealerships every day and we don't understand what they do or what they want or how we can actually add value to their dealerships. So that was first part of my role was coming over and rolling out floor plans across that. And that was amazing. We acquired more brands then, and then we got to really work on the campaign and the product side. Banks and manufacturers do a lot of campaigns together. So your 3.99% or your 6 months no repayments, things like that. So I was really interested in that side. And there was some pretty cool people in their product department over there. So that was really good. And then as the business grew, there was a lot more dealers on board, et cetera. So that training and that business development piece really came in. So that's why I'm in dealerships and training them. And that's what I absolutely loved. So yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you started a brokerage called Medifund though. So you, at some point along the way, fell in love with, or assume fell in love with medical finance or a medical professional. So how did that happen?
Very backwards. Once again, I got the itch. I think I was in the role with dealer finance for about 8 years at the bank, and I got the itch, and there was, like I said, there was nothing development-wise to move into. I was at a conference, a BOQ conference, and I had a lengthy conversation with the state manager for BOQ Specialist. So they are the medico side of the bank. They're the old Investec business. And we had a chat, and he came to me a couple of weeks later, I've got a role for you, Nicole. I had absolutely no idea about this role. And I was just, yes, it's medical. Can't wait. Let's go. See your dealer. What's next? I've gotten into the role and it's a resi banker role.
Oh.
And I had absolutely no residential experience whatsoever. And the state manager at the time is like, Nicole, the 80-20 rule, you've already got 80%. We just need to teach you that 20%. So yeah, my first day as a resi banker, I'm hearing terms like split, variable, fixed, construction loan. I'm like, what is this? So yeah, I got into the medical side that way as a resi banker. I loved it. After I left that role, I went to NAB Health, did the same thing over there, but as a BDM, so helping resi brokers. And then I went back to BOQ under Virgin Money, and I was a resi broker for Virgin Money, looked after the loan market account there. And then I just looked at it, I'm like, I don't think I want to do resi. And I'm a strong believer you're either one or the other. I think you're either asset finance and you're either resi. So I did 4 or 5 years in resi, but I had like 15 years in asset. I'm like, I absolutely love asset, but I love medical as well. So medical clients, asset finance, Medifund was born.
There we go. So, and obviously because of all the conversations you were having with low market brokers, I'm assuming that's why you chose low market as your aggregator of choice.
Yes.
So you are doing now medical assets.
Yes.
What is that?
So medical asset is anything non-bricks and mortar. It's super, super broad. So it's everything for cars to medical equipment to practice fit outs to business loans, say for tax debts, to fractional purchases, to goodwill. So if you're purchasing a new startup practice, lines of credit, it's all of those things
business
and above.
Needs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Personal and commercial.
Yeah. So do you do any like weird medical equipment? Like what's the weirdest thing you've had to fund?
All medical equipment's weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's not anything. I mean,
you're not really
a blood
buying
pressure
it for
machine.
fun.
Yeah, you're probably not taking a loan out for.
Yeah.
What sort of things do you use? Yeah, have you financed over the years?
So ultrasound machines.
Yeah.
MRIs, laser machines.
I've been in all of those.
Yeah.
I wonder if you financed it.
I've got to get you a shirt to wear into these appointments.
Yeah. So I guess these are big machines. They're not like, as I said, like a small sort of, blood pressure machine. These are big pieces of equipment. What's your like average kind of loan size look like for something like that? Like, is it sort of 10,000s? Is it hundreds of thousands? Is it millions? Like what sort of
The
range?
average deals I see on the Medifund side are usually between that 200 to 350 mark.
Yeah. So they're substantial
Correct.
pieces of equipment.
Correct.
So you had all this asset knowledge, you had all this medical knowledge, you married it together and decided you were going to become a broker. You love what you were hearing from the low market brokers, so you became one of them. Why did you decide to start up your own brokerage rather than like sort of under your own name, under Medifund, rather than kind of go down the branded group? path?
I'd already come up with Medifund, and it was easier just to create a whole company around that than go the other way. So I did.
Yeah.
It has been an experience having a bring your own business versus having a franchise business. Creating everything from the name to your logo and websites and starting from scratch. I guess coming from bank and PAYG, you become an accidental business owner when you become a broker. And I guess you don't really think about that piece too much. But I think it's really cool building something that's yours. And yeah.
I'm amazed there wasn't something already called Medifund. It's a great name.
Well, there is something called Medifund.
Oh.
It's the Medicare system in Singapore.
I meant in Australia, but okay, cool. Yeah, not to be confused with that.
Not to be confused.
But yeah, cool. Like, so then I guess the biggest challenge you have when you start out a new business is being like, well, where am I going to get my clients from? Lucky for you probably already knew quite a lot of people in this industry. But did you have to go out and kind of market to, like, do you just hang out at like doctors' surgeries? Like, how do you actually generate new leads?
So I did a little bit backwards. I didn't write volume straight away. So I spent the first 6 months in my business being a BDM in my business, setting up the foundations and setting up the relationships. I was very fortunate that very shortly after I launched Medifund, I partnered with a company called Business for Doctors. Business for Doctors have an audience and membership of 38,000 doctors Australian-wide. And I work very closely with a gentleman over there by the name of Paul Jarvis. I know him from NAB days. He runs Business for Doctors Finance, which is all the mortgage side. And we did some deals together and we started to work together and it just worked. So I was very fortunate to become an exclusive partner of Business for Doctors on the asset finance side. The Business for Doctors piece, so they're not very salesy. They're an association. They're a financial literacy company. So it's really an association piece. It's a long burn, but what I get to do over there is a lot of financial literacy work, and that's what I absolutely love. And it's my part of giving back. You don't get many opportunities in finance, in asset finance in particular, to sort of give back and feel warm and fuzzy, but to work alongside them and then still have time to go do lunch and learns. Do private practice visits and do lunch and learns, and that's really rewarding, and that's what I love.
And I think that's so interesting. Like, so many brokers when they first start, it can take a really long time to hit the ground running. And I think particularly for new brokers who are in the resi space, a lot of them go, maybe I'll write asset because I'll get paid earlier. So it's interesting to hear that you kind of took that long time to really plan your business and get to, your lead funnel kind of, I guess, full.
Yes.
Was there anything else that you did at the beginning that you're like, I'm so glad I did that rather than having to do it now?
Yeah, well, if it wasn't, so I met two lovely female asset finance brokers at my first aggregator conference. And we were at a function and they said, well, what do you do? And I'd just become a broker. And I didn't know what I did. I went to go banker, I went to go BDM, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I'm a broker. And I think that was a real realization that I need to know what I do, what my business is, who I'm targeting, and what niche I do. On top of that as well, because it is a niche sector, and I do have that background in product and policy, etc., I wanted to go set up special campaigns, products, and lines for my clients. So rather than so other brokers can't offer what I can offer.
So you've got your own like white labels, or
not white label as such, but special campaigns, so subvention campaigns and structured repayment campaigns and those cool sort of things.
And is that because you already knew quite a lot of people? You knew the right people to talk to.
I knew the right people to talk to, but I also understood the medical and what those clients look like. If you're starting a new practice, you got to build up those billings. So cash flow isn't super strong in the beginning. So if you can have 6 or 12 months no repayments and build up that billing and advertise that you're offering those treatments, etc., then it takes a little bit of pressure off that side.
So you can basically go and talk to a client and be like, I know exactly what you need.
Yes.
I've seen it before.
Yes.
Here's the steps.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you started off like that. So what was the first loan you wrote? Can you remember?
In Medifund?
Yeah.
I think it was a car loan on a Tesla.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. And now fast forwarding a little bit. So we kind of have gone from why you became a broker. When you then, let's say you did your first 12 months, were there any challenges that cropped up in that first year
heaps.
that you weren't expecting? Like, what sort of things did you come across?
I guess you take for granted coming from so much finance background that you can do the job on your ear as a broker. What I didn't realize when I started is becoming a broker, you're starting a whole new role. It's a whole new role. And I hear this from a lot of resi brokers as well. You go from a bank where you've got one set of policy, one set of pricing, one credit team, one settlements team, one appetite and direction. And then you go to this scattergun. You've got 40 lenders that all have different levers and what they do and don't like, and just getting your head around that. It's a lot. So I guess when diversification's spoken about, I'm like, I couldn't even consider taking on resi at the same time. It's just, it's a big beast.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of brokers, particularly if they already have a specialist, they're like, I'd rather partner with someone or bring someone in to focus on that rather than diversify myself, because it's a whole other thing you're having to learn. And I think what's also really interesting about your story, Nicole, is that obviously you've got Medifund, you were about a year in, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I haven't got enough on my plate already. Yes. I'm going to add a second business.
Surprise, we're having another baby.
Yeah. So last year you opened a low market franchise.
Correct.
And am I right in thinking this is the first purely asset finance one?
Correct. Engineered that way, yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
So only asset finance.
Only asset finance.
Where's the franchise?
So standalone, we are in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we being whom?
Kylie Rapson is my business partner. So I was very fortunate to be introduced to Kylie when I started as an asset finance broker by our amazing BDM, Matt Thompson, who's been in the industry for a very long time. He introduced us, and I'm really lucky that Kylie actually turned into a mentor for me. She's been absolutely amazing. That developed into a really close friendship, and now we're business partners. So that's how that was born.
Yeah.
And then this opportunity came across for the loan market franchise piece for standalone asset. And when we saw it come up, we're like, do we take this on? We've got enough. Do we want to get greedy? But I think it was too good of an opportunity not to take on. Loan market, what they do with that brand, loan market as an aggregator. But as we thought more and more about it, we thought it would be a good opportunity to have a vessel to maybe create a finance company that's very female orientated as well. So,
female asset finance brokers as well. Not many of you.
There's not.
Yeah.
We're lonely. Come and join us.
So are you now, between the both of you, loan market franchise that specialise in asset, are you kind of writing other loan market brokers asset loans, or are you opening the doors to new business?
So that's where we're starting, and that's what we're concentrating on first, is referral partners to loan market franchises.
Yeah.
So that's where we're concentrating on first. Then we will obviously diversify out to looking after suppliers and dealerships, etc. But our first priority is making sure we give a good service level to those loan market mortgage brokers.
Well, I mean, gosh, what a lot of business you've got on your plate then.
Yes.
So you've got your own business, Medifund, and you've got your low market brokerage.
Yes.
How do you divvy up your time to do it all?
So there's three of us between it. So Kylie is in her business, which is B&E Capital. Her business is very construction, engineers, tradies, big stuff. I've obviously got the medical. We've brought Maeve in as our loan writer for the loan market business, and she's got a background in marine, cars, caravans. So between us, we've got this unique skill set. I think there's 40 years asset finance experience between the three of us. So I predominantly stay in my business. Kylie stays in hers. We're both across Maeve now as a mentor piece. We have morning huddles every morning at 9 a.m, get across the deals that she's running. We discuss the deals we've got as well, just to get that overarching experience piece. And then, loan market is designed to be her baby. Yeah. So we want her to really grow and develop in that. She's an amazing loan writer and a broker, but what we're sort of taking her through now is management, because that's going to be her next step when we bring on staff for her.
Cool. So is it kind of, I guess, that you guys are both then focusing on your own business, and then I suppose when you're writing other people's business, where you kind of just get like a split?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
So the loan market business there's a lot of consumer deals in that loan market business. There's a lot of leisure. So it was the perfect home to bring all that business across. In the medical industry as well, I deal with a lot of the spouses and medical partners. So to have a home for them as well, for their family, for their kids, it just made sense.
Yeah, cool. So let's look at then, I guess, the types of loans that you might write in a typical week. So you said already it's a lot of sort of, equipment, but also car loans. Is there anything that you're seeing at the moment that's super popular that people are looking for?
Yeah, especially in the medical space, tax debt. So business loan for tax debt, just around the rulings with the not being able to claim the rate back. Not only that, they put it over a 2-year term. If you've got a large tax debt, those repayments are going to be quite high.
Yeah.
So it's about refinancing that, negotiating after 12 months no early termination fees. So your goal to them is you're running through a strategy going, you basically effectively want to have this paid out at month 13. And then sort of getting them into good financial habits. So we're not sort of revisiting that again down the track.
You must have to work with a lot of accountants then as well.
Yes.
How do you find those referral partnerships? Like, is it coming from your clients who are saying, actually, I already have an accountant? Do you have specialist accountants that you found over the years?
I work with a company quite closely called Prosperity. So they have a lot of health on their books. But I guess you organically come across accountants in your day-to-day dealings. I have a lot of medical suppliers on my side. So rather than having the accountant as my introducer, the supplier and the sales rep is introducing me. And then I'm going and meeting the accountant. Medicos love having complex structures and trust structures and unit trusts and everything that goes with it. So you become close to their accountant quite quickly.
Trust lending, I think, at the moment is something that everyone is talking about,
Yes.
mostly from a resi point of view. You've seen lots of lenders pulling back from, lending mortgages to companies in trust. What other kind of types of trust lending are you seeing then in your space, like for asset, for example?
Well, it's predominantly just trusts. So we don't see too much of it on our side.
Yeah.
So it's just the structure of their business. So it just depends. It's all very varied.
Company trusts.
Yeah.
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 We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'd love to pick your brain about how you actually write your loans, what your process is, what kind of tools and tech you're using, and plus, what sort of lenders you're using at the moment as well. And we'll get into that just after this message. So you mentioned about, kind of having lots of different types of clients and lots of different types of loans coming through. What kind of lenders, though, do you use? Do you find that you're kind of using the same types of lenders in, day out? Do you have a vast range? Like, who are your faves? Who do you hate?
Top faves, Westpac.
Okay.
Angle do the weird, wonderful stuff. They don't care about the asset. It's all about the client profile. So Metro is quite varied. I guess in the asset space, you have different types of assets. You have primary assets, secondary assets, and tertiary assets. So it sort of lands on the asset first of where you're going to funnel it, and then it comes down to the client profile piece.
Yeah. And are there any lenders that you're like, I wish you had this, or are any products that maybe you wish you had?
Yes. Sorry to do this.
Like, let's say you were queen of the asset finance world for a day.
Yeah.
What product or loan would you be like, this is going to go gangbusters?
Interest only.
Okay.
So interest only, especially on bigger equipment, exactly like an investment property, you want to keep those repayments down in the beginning. So if you've got an income generating asset and you're only just starting to use that asset within your business, or you're a new business, you want to build that cash flow up first. So interest only, I think, would be an amazing product in the industry. I also worked closely with Angle on a pilot last year. They came to me and sort of said, what do you see now on the broker side that you would love to sort of introduce on our side? And I'm like, a big bugbear in our industry is dealerships and them playing funny games with invoices at the last minute and not handing over dealer invoices, and it just becomes a poor experience for the client, and it gets dragged out. And I just said to them, I'm like, surely there's a way that we can do a settlement without an invoice. And that's what they did. So they ran a pilot last year, no invoices on delivery, and they collect them 3 days after. So effectively, we're signing up the client, we're paying down, we're paying the dealer, and then we're getting the invoice.
So is that because the dealers don't want to hand over because they want to try and convert that deal themselves?
Correct.
Right.
That's their last piece
Naughty.
of control. Yes. Yes.
Well, cool. It's cool to see innovation.
Yes.
And, it looks like, if you've got the sort of experience and the brains, then you can make things happen. How exciting. When you actually then look at the process for getting a loan done, so with asset, I'm assuming the timeframes are probably a little bit shorter than it would be for a mortgage. What's your sort of typical lifespan between a client walking up to you and being like, hi, Nicole, I'd like a loan, and then actually been done?
So medical clients and standard clients, they vary. So I guess with medical devices, you've got that little bit of time before you've got installation and you're collecting information from their account, etc. A standard regular car loan, etc., it's super quick. You're having your first conversation with the client, a discovery phone call, and you're, as my business partner says, you should know while you're on that phone call and before you get off the phone exactly who you're placing that with. So it's super, super quick. Also,
How long does it take then before that loan is actually done, dusted?
Loan approvals can come back within 24 hours.
Yeah. So you can be earning some money pretty early doors, which is why I think a lot of new brokers, particularly in their resi space, are like, maybe I'll just do some car loans first because I need some money. I need to pay some bills. But do you think that's sort of like, are there any like deals that actually take much longer than that? Any kind of things that maybe if someone's writing asset finance for the first time, they might need to be wary of?
Yeah. So consumer deals will take a lot longer. The reason being is you're effectively bid restricted. So you're looking for 3 top lenders. You're looking for making sure it's a really good home for that client. You're doing 90% of the work up front. The last piece you're doing on a consumer loan is the approval.
So when you look at then actually writing your loans, I know that Loan Market have a specialist sort of asset finance arm and they've got their own tools and tech. What sort of things do you use day in, day out to help you in running a business?
I'm old school banker. I'm still very, very manual. I write everything down. I do manual apps, much to my young loan writer's dismay. She's like, Nicole, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's just I write things down. I retain that information. But I'm still very commercially banker minded and write a lot down. I'm going to look to improve that this year.
Well, writing down is good, but maybe digitally.
Correct.
Yeah. Or having something that can convert your handwriting into a digital form.
Does the remarkable count?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. Because I think, I mean, if your handwriting is anything like mine, half the time I write something down and then I can't even read what it says.
I would have been an amazing doctor. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know. But yeah, I think for when it actually comes to then sort of the process of writing a loan. So it sounds like you're not necessarily using loads of tech, but are you using a special process or a formalized system to make sure that you're getting loans done quickly?
So we are very manual on our side. We know the lender it's going to go to. We go direct to the lender and we place it directly with the lender using their software and their process. As much as I love Loan Market and my aggregator, the tech space just isn't there on the asset finance side yet, and I don't think that's limited to Loan Market.
Yeah.
I really feel asset finance and working across both resi and asset's still 10 years behind that resi space with technology and investment. What I have seen in the last year, though, has been super, super impressive. I know there's a lot of investment going into CRMs, into software, for it to be able to go straight from their systems to the banks, and AI for it to do a lot of broker notes and sort of the smarts in the background. So
yeah. Do you use any AI yet?
ChatGPT, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I've only recently become like a convert to ChatGPT. I was really resistant. And I think also in the early days it wasn't great. But now I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so handy.
I think the grammar would frustrate you.
It really does. You know what?
Because it frustrates me.
It does. I'm like, that is just wrong. It's just plain wrong.
Yes.
But also, like, yeah, I think a lot of the time the information I just didn't trust to begin with. So, but I think when you get used to where you're using it in your day, it can become a lot more
It has
easy.
its use.
Yeah. So what do you use yours for? Is it for like sort of the admin? Are you using it for, you know, day-to-day life?
I do a lot for broker notes.
Yeah.
So for complex scenarios and write-ups. I use it a lot for socials. So just for content there. And letters to suppliers or a partner that we're trying to bring on.
Yeah. Letters. What is that? Do you mean like an email or like an actual letter?
Like we send actual letters.
A posted letter?
Yeah. Or
wow.
we attach it in the email. But
wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you look at then working with other people, this is the other thing that you sort of talked about earlier, is that you in your previous life was sort of becoming a manager and you're like, you know what, I don't love doing that. I want to be doing my own business. But now you're working with partners for broking in both your own brokerage, but also across to the Loan Market franchise. How do you, I suppose, divvy up like who's doing what?
It's just organically fallen where it does. We are very, very different, but we all think exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. I'm very BDM, sales, front of the business. Kylie, my business partner, she's very operations, back end, HR piece. And Maeve's just She's a little sponge. She just wants to talk to everyone. She just wants to learn, and she just wants to get a really good result for both the referral partner and her clients.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it sounds like you kind of then found someone who's the opposite of you to try and complement the skills where maybe you enjoy doing one thing and she enjoys doing the other. Do you think that's important for brokers to have, like rather than trying to do everything or learn everything, is actually kind of partnering or hiring to fill those gaps?
100%. If we didn't have a Kylie in our business, my accountant probably would run. But like our BDM, Matt Thompson over at Loan Market says, he's like, you guys are yin and yang. Nicole, you're definitely front office, and Kylie, you're definitely back office. And we really complement each other there. Kylie, there's nothing about asset finance that she doesn't know. We've got a little bit of a running joke and call her the universal asset finance BDM. If an asset finance broker in our business can't get hold of a BDM, irrelevant of the lender, they'll ring Kylie for the answer. So
there we go.
Very fortunate to have her, but it just works. It's good flow. I'm very sales driven, pipeline, what's next, face-to-faces. We should be doing proactive calls, lots of face-to-faces, activity drives activity. And then Kylie's very on the back end. Okay, cool, let's move this lever. This volume should be going here. We've hit this now. Let's move this here. We need to reassess this, what these deals are. Let's try and get app fees removed from this lender for the next month as a campaign for these clients. So she does that sort of stuff really well.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any idea of what kind of number of loans you probably write in a year? I mean, you've only been 2 years in, but like, you know, at the moment, where do you think?
On the Medifund side, I write about 20 a month.
Okay.
So they can be really small ones or really big ones. The loan market, we've only been writing since December, but I think our first month, a few weeks. That was it was a few weeks ago. It was a really good holiday, okay? Yeah. It was a really good break. I think she wrote 5 deals in December, and she should hit 10, 15 this month. So that month-on-month growth, she's got the really good trajectory there.
I know we've done a few asset finance podcasts last year, and I know a lot of the sort of conversations have been around all the new cars that have been coming through. There's been lots of stories actually in mainstream media as well about all the different brands that are coming through from different countries. Are you seeing lots of demand for like, you know, new wonderful cars, or is it mostly for sort of just every day?
And no, I guess working on the medical side, the doctors and medicos are quite conservative. So they don't want to really go with a brand that they don't know or the technology that comes along with it. I think there's 68 brands currently now in Australia, and that's just cars. So if you then fold that out and think of everything else, trucks, boats, jet skis, caravans, the manufacturers they have, we have so many different brands in this country.
Hard to get across all of them. Do you do like anywhere that you kind of go for your information or for reading that anyone might want to get across?
Well, that's one of my downtime things. I like going into dealerships and mystery shopping. So I like to see what their processes are. I like to see what rates they're throwing out. I like to see the experiences, anything that I can take from it, because they do process really well. They call it a road to a sale over on that side. And they pull levers really, really quickly. They adapt and adopt quite quickly when market swings and changes. So it's really good to see what they're doing in their businesses.
Scoping out the competition.
Yeah. And I don't mind a good test drive. So
What are you most excited about at the moment? Is there anything that you're seeing that you're like, ooh, that's fun?
Not really.
No, everything. And when you look at then, I guess the biggest sort of things that you've been doing so far. So you said that the loan market franchise is only a few weeks in. At the moment, when you're looking at actually building a pipeline for a new business, obviously it really helps in this case that you've got loads of loan market brokers to lean on. But for external business or for the Medifund business, do you now like have any kind of plans for generating leads? That you mentioned, you know, you like going face to face. So you do you do any, you know, expos, or do you kind of just hang out at hospitals?
We love our expos. We love our conferences, getting out, visiting small businesses. I think it's really, really important and a point of difference. But apart from the referral piece, we are a little bit different where we'll go to a boat supplier or we'll go to a caravan manufacturer. So that's where we're finding our clients. We don't generate a lot of web traffic, so we don't really advertise there on our side, and we really rely on knocking on doors and getting business that way.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting as well now, particularly, look, so many people are looking at, how do I make sure my business is coming up on AI platforms like ChatGPT. It's actually a big focus for us this year at Better Business, but it's all about making sure you're there, but also the face-to-face, because a lot of people now have been like, I actually don't know if I want to be doing all this stuff online. I'd rather have the convenience of someone that I can talk to face-to-face and that I know specialises in this area. Are there any sort of things that you do from a business perspective, like sponsorships, or do you do any you mentioned about financial literacy being really important to you. Do you go into schools or host seminars? Like how else do you embed in the community?
So I do a lot of work with Business for Doctors. They do workshops every couple of months on MBS training. So I always MBS Medical Benefit Scheme.
Right.
So I do a lot of financial literacy training with them on that side. Their CEO, Dr. April Armstrong, is a massive advocate for financial literacy. She's actually trying to get courses within the universities. So when they go through medical school,
that's a good idea.
Exactly like a broker, they become accidental business owners.
Yeah.
So they study all of these years. They do their hospital stint. They fellow, and then they become self-employed. So getting in there and doing financial literacy training with them is really, really rewarding, and it's really important. I guess the main piece there as well is because of their occupation, they are targeted by health banks from day dot. So just getting in there and just letting them know what they're entering themselves into. So.
Yeah. And I guess the other mirroring sort of element of doctors and brokers is that also the big payroll tax issue has been an issue for both industries. So it's one of the few times I've actually had to write about the medical industry was when the payroll tax hearings are going on a couple of years ago. It's like, what's happening with doctors? But yeah, really interesting to hear that. So when you look at then, I suppose, growing a business, so you've got a lot in the last 2 years that you've been doing and really ramping up for growth. So let's move forward to the year ahead and think about 2026 and beyond.
Yes.
I'd love to pick your brain about what's next.
Yes.
And we'll get into that just after this. So we're at the beginning of a new year. Happy New Year to you, firstly, Nicole. What do you want to achieve? You got any resolutions for 2026 for your business and for your professional life?
Yeah, just taking more me time. I think that's really important. I had lunch with
holiday.
A holiday. I guess that's a luxury now that we do have Lone Rider, and I've got a business partner as well on the other side. But taking my nana out to lunch and having cocktails with her over the holidays, I'm like, this is what I should be doing more of. I think that's why people become self-employed with that intent to do better things and spend more time with family. But, the first 2 years, I call it hard labor. And we're getting over that phase now. I guess on the Medifund side, 2026 is going to be to scale. So obviously bring some staff and resources into that business. But before we scale, I think it's really important to nurture. So everything I have done over the last 2 years, attending conferences, events, lunch and learns, my webinars with BFD, all of those inquiries that have come through and leads, etc., I've done nothing with those. So I've built this database and I've done nothing with it. While it is, not a bad position to be just writing new business coming in, I think it's really important that you touch them and you nurture that piece, and then it'll be looking to scale from there.
Yeah. And I think that's a core thing, isn't it? It's like once you've kind of set up the business, you've got it off the ground running, is then being like, how do I continue to build a pipeline now that you might not have enough more time because you're servicing existing clients. So kind of having that dual pipeline almost running itself would be really helpful. Do you think you'll do that yourself? Do you think you'll bring someone in to do that?
I'll definitely bring someone in, but it's just keeping that momentum going. Just bringing the right person in. So that's always the tricky part. Yeah.
So when you think about what's happening in the asset finance arena at the moment, I mean, we've had a lot of conversation from the regulators around car finance. They're looking very closely at what the dealers are doing, but also generally, I think, in what's happening in car financing. Are there any things that you're like, you know what, I think this whole area would be better if this one thing changed?
I think they just need to be qualified. I think we see a lot of business managers in dealerships, and I was one of them. They just don't have the qualifications to be having the conversations that they're having. I don't think that they're working in best interest for the client. They're working in best interest for the dealership and selling more cars. So I think that's really important. I was at the bank when we went through all of the point of sale redemption piece, the flex commission changes.
Yeah.
I've been through all of that. So when NCCP was introduced in 2009, a lot has improved and hasn't changed. Gone away with things like junk insurance and massive balloons and all of those really poor sorts of things that the dealerships were doing. But I think that's the next piece, is just educating the people that are in the dealerships and the real ethical piece about finance as well. I guess I didn't really learn that until I went into the banking side either. And I think that's the key component of what it's missing.
Yeah. Well, you talked about, this year one of your resolutions is sort of work-life balance, or maybe trying to take some more time for your life, your personal life. How do you think you're going to do that? Is it around, improving process, bringing in technology, bringing in staff? Like, how do you actually think you can buy back more time?
Time management. That is probably an area that I'm super, super weak on. So time management just has to be improved. There was so many weeks last year that I worked 7 days a week. And that's just not sustainable. So I think if I get my time management right, that'll improve a lot. And I guess, that's my personality as well. I don't like the admin side. I push that sort of stuff away. But if I've got a meeting or a face-to-face, I'm there and I'm amped. And that's what gets me excited. But just learning on how to balance that better in a better way.
Looking further afield then, like let's say if we fast forward 4 or 5 years, we're at 2030, what do you hope to be doing?
Hopefully more out of the business, but in a sales capacity. So having teams run it for us, but being out and
kind of being like a managing director.
Correct.
Yeah. So not so much of the loan writing itself, but being like the head of the business. Yeah. And having other people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have a business plan for this and it's just completely gone blank.
That happens.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I think okay, so let's say you've managed to come off the tools a little bit and you've got a team that's sort of running itself. What will you do with your extra time?
Probably start another business. No.
just travel the world. I don't know. World's my oyster. Yeah. And I think also looking at, you mentioned there that it can be really draining. It can be hard work. You're working 7 days a week sometimes. You're probably working weird hours sometimes. It can be hard putting a line in the sand when you're self-employed. We talk a lot to brokers around, making sure they're kind of looking after themselves and they're not burning out. We know that, particularly for new brokers, the first year, about 50% of them drop out. And some of it is because they don't realise how long it takes to get paid. For some of it, it's harder work than they thought it was going to be. And for some people, it's just like, I don't like being self-employed and not really having weekends or having holidays and having to kind of manage my own time. But it's so important that people are looking after themselves. We often will ask brokers, what do you do to unwind and de-stress? Partly as a reminder for people to unwind and de-stress, but also because I'm just super nosy and want to know what everyone's hobbies are. But if you sort of think about, if you've had a really stressful day at work or a really stressful week, maybe let's say you've worked 7 days and you're in your head about it and you can't really get out. Like, what do you do to try and break that routine or try and get back to a more neutral state?
It's a reset for me. So just sort of remove myself from what I'm doing. I really like yoga. I like power yoga because I can't sit still. So power yoga is nice and fast and it gets a good result. I love swimming. I love speed shopping.
Speed shopping?
Speed shopping.
You're going to have to explain what that is.
So speed shopping is when you've got an event and you've left it to the last second and you've got to go from Myers to 9 West to here and you've got half an hour.
That sounds horrendous. That sounds horrendous to me.
Yeah.
No, thanks. So you love speed shopping.
Yes.
Just cramming in some retail therapy very, very quickly. I feel like that is a recipe for spending a lot of money very, very short time.
It's like therapy but cheaper. Sometimes.
Endorphin rush. Cool. Wow. Speed shopping, yoga and swimming. Is there ocean swimming, pool swimming?
I love the beach. So any opportunity I can get to the beach, I'm there. But unfortunately, we're in Brisbane. So yes, you've got the brown snake or you've got South Bank.
Yeah. Well, yeah, lovely. Is there anything like in Queensland at the moment that you're sort of thinking would be a really good like thing that will deliver for brokers up in Queensland?
There is so much opportunity up in Queensland at the moment, and I am super, super pumped about the next decade, especially in the asset finance landscape. We've got so much going on up there. We've got, properties finally had that big bump that it was waiting for all those years. We've got infrastructure going through. We've got large population growth. We've got the Olympics coming and what that's going to do in the asset finance space. But then we've got, if you look at the Gold Coast has so much money coming into it now, money it's never seen before. They're demolishing Marina Mirage and rebuilding that.
What?
Yeah. They've got a Ritz going in there. They're building a super yacht channel to get the massive boats in. So
thank goodness. I was wondering where to park my super yacht.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot is happening in Queensland. So obviously lots of great boom times for you coming ahead.
Yes.
If you had any advice though for maybe let's think about when you first started. You said you spent, 6 months planning. If you could now go back to that person and give her any advice on really what it takes to be successful, what would you tell yourself?
The first thing I'd tell myself is don't doubt yourself, back yourself. You've gotten yourself here. Surround yourself with the right people and don't push yourself. A volume and those sorts of things aren't everything. It'll all come organically. Activity drives activity. You just keep doing those things. There's going to be days where you just don't want to run at it and you feel like your battery is drained. You've just got to push yourself. You've got to get up and you've got to consistently do it every single day.
Yeah, awesome. And if you had any advice to brokers wanting to write asset finance at first time, what advice would you give them to get up to speed?
I would drip feed asset finance into my business. So I would engage someone like myself, Kylie or Maeve, where we're happy to help brokers. We're happy to run scenarios. We're happy to work with you because we gain a lot of business from doing that because there's going to be weird and wonderful things that broker has come across their desk that they just simply don't have the accreditations for. So I find by assisting them and helping them with their scenarios, you build up a relationship and it's really good to work together.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, it's lovely talking to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story here on the podcast and best of luck with the new franchise as well. Looking forward to seeing that. Now it's had its first month.
Yes.
And how it goes in 2026 and of course the Medifund as well. If you've got any questions for me or Nicole, do feel free to reach out. You can reach me on editor@theadvisor.com.au and Nicole over at Medifund. Sounds like you're keen to help any brokers who might need some help with asset finance.
Yeah, call us.
Yeah. And of course, if you've got any other questions or queries about the news, then you can check them all out on The Advisor. Reach out, take a listen back to previous episodes on this podcast network as well. There's a whole bunch there for you, probably about a decade's worth of podcasts now, for you to learn from many leading brokers on how they've been running their businesses. We hope you have a fab week and we'll catch you next time for another episode on the Advisor Podcast Network.